Hey, what's up guys? It's me, Spectrar here in another video in Wayward Terran Frontier. I've kind of got a different one for you today. This is something that I think will actually help you in the game. It's helped me a lot. I can almost guarantee I'm not the very first one to think of this concept as a concept. But I'm going to give it a name, and I'm going to give you a way to practice it. So when you're in the game and you're going up against a ship that's much larger than yourself, and you pretty much know you're going to lose, but you want to capture it anyways, or you at least want to board it and maybe try to continue raiding, but in a bigger ship. Um, I call it aggressive boarding, or aggressive docking. Uh, and it's basically where you're just trying to fly in and do a quick dock and then board their ship. So you're not disabling them and then doing, taking your time to dock. You're kind of sweeping by, mashing that X button, trying to get at that perfect angle to hurry and dock and board the ship. And it's kind of hard to do, and it sucks when you fail at it without being able to try over and over again, And so I've created this ship so that you have a way to practice. Now the main focus of the ship is shields and maneuverability, and I've created two models, one in a bigger ship and one in this one. I will show you both. Now in the future I'm going to release a design that's all about shields. This is not the one. This is just for practicing aggressive boarding. And I'm going to kind of pause at these sections so that way if you want to recreate this yourself, you have an area where you can kind of pause. But it's about shields and engine power. And so everything's kind of very specifically placed. Now this ship can replace 4 shields per second. It's got 4 generators, and each one will put out 1 shield per second based on the amount of power I'm giving it. We've got one of these 55 energy per second reactors attached to 2, which gives it some extra, which is okay, but I wanted to make sure it had no problems. We've got a lot of engine power, so that way we have some good back and forth thrust with reactors just dedicated to the engines. We've got 4 thrusters at the most, so you get the most out of them when they're the furthest away from the center. So the furthest point's giving us the most max power, max thrust, and they're the biggest ones. And it works fairly well. Now I did 3 layers because while it does repair or replace 4 shields per second, it's nice to have those layers so you can kind of see when you're losing shields in a certain area. That way you know you need to turn or do something else. And it's got 2 docking ports. So let's really quick show you what this one looks like. You're in the ship. You can spawn, honestly you can spawn 4 of these and almost have no problems. You may have to rotate a little bit, but as you can see they're going to start digging into my shields, and honestly my shield generators are replacing them fairly fast. Considering how much I'm being shot at the current moment, they're being replaced fairly fast. Even if I exit out of this real quick, go back in and just select 1, you will see that pretty much what he shoots I replace almost instantly. Look at that. That's near instant. Now you do have 1 gun, but that's because when you're docking, it's red until you shoot them once. So you cannot actually dock them until you do a little bit of damage. I don't know why that is, but that's the way it is. So let's go ahead and hop into the next ship that I have created. It's the larger one. This one will replace a lot more shields. This is for practicing against much larger ships. As you can see, we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 shield generators. That means we can replace 8 shields per second. Now, I potentially could have done this in one of the very, very large ships and had even more power, but that would have required even more power for the amount of maneuverability I want for the ship. And so I decided to hold off on that and maybe leave that for my main shield one ship that I make. But I feel like this is good enough because typically when you're practicing for this, you're on a smaller ship going against a bigger ship, and so this kind of helps you get the feel for it. Now I wanted to put a main docking port right up here in front, but I needed this structure. You can remove this and put one in there if you want and find other ways to fit in structure. I mean, there's other areas you can fit in structure, maybe get enough for the integrity. But I decided to just do this and continue just with the side ones because some of the ships have that forward docking port you want to practice with. Anyways, lots of power. Now this part right here is very specific in the way I powered it. This generator is only powering, oops, is only powering the thrust, our maneuverability. Now, there are some places where you may look and say that's a little bit of overkill, but depending on how long you're practicing, it's going to make a difference because this reactor actually can't power all of this at once. And so we've got capacitors in certain places to help kind of feed into all of this, and literally every inch of this area is pretty much used up. Now we come up and we have this reactor powering these 6, and then this one powering another 2. We've got all of our heat sinks. More thrusters up here powered by this one because this one had a little bit of extra. I mean, technically we're only using about 22 per second from these 2 shield generators. So we had about 15 energy left over, which is plenty enough to power this and the gun that you'll shoot maybe once or twice. As much as I wanted to have the docks down here, and as much as I thought it was a good idea to just kind of have docking ports in random places on the ship, but it's an open space, and so there's a chance you'll spawn in that space when you go to test the ship, and that's just not doable. So you need a way to get to it, and to your command console. So this is kind of the ship. Again, we got 3 layers, and I decided to lay some extra layers right along some key areas that I really didn't want to get destroyed. A little more excessive, but we have the replacement power to do that. Again, I will show you what it looks like. Spawn one of these, and yet again, pretty much as fast as he can shoot it, I am literally replacing it. This one even more so than the last. And so what I can technically do is I can get some larger ships, i.e. this one, and do just fine. Now with the larger ships, with the lasers, it does still kind of struggle. Not super bad, but it does struggle. So like this large ship, it'll start shooting me. It's not there to make, the shields aren't there to make you invisible, it's to make your practice time last longer. So as you can see, he hasn't touched the ship yet. Okay, he touched it a little bit there. And so it gives you, while it's not making you invincible, that wasn't the purpose, it's just giving you more time to practice. Because it is a test area, you can easily just exit out and try again. But it's realistically giving you the max amount of time you'll probably have against the ship. Double that amount of time, I would say. Just because the ship will just absolutely wreck you. Now he's kind of distracted by these other ships a little bit. But essentially it'll give you, you know, that time that you would need to dock. And as you can see, at this point, this ship would most likely be almost inoperable without these shields. So it does make a big difference in my opinion. And I feel like it's a fun strategy to learn how to do. It may just be fun to try it every once in a while. But to get that larger ship, it is, in my opinion, a very valid, you know, strategy to try to get a larger ship. Now, in my experience, about 2 out of 5 times, I just die, and I lose the opportunity to get the ship. But there's always those times when you might just land that dock the way you need to. And in the regular scenario, you will have weapons to try to maybe fight it while you're trying to dock. But essentially, you should be able to dock as you need to. And as you can see, the ship is fairly maneuverable. Both of them are. It has some good stopping power, especially for its size, and that's really why it takes up so much space in the design itself. So yeah, I hope you guys found this useful. In the future, I'm going to do a ship that's all focused on shields, and that'll be a fun one. But this one is very much so for the practice of aggressive docking. And I hope you guys have fun practicing your aggressive docking and utilizing it. It's a fun little tactic. I don't know why that's there. Oops. I guess that sometimes I place docks throughout the thing to test things out, and I must have left that there. Oh well. Anyways, I hope you guys enjoyed it. If you guys have any other suggestions for things like this or other designs or things you want me to try and maybe solve for you. I'm going to be doing a laser one. Uh, Alice something Gelfrey, I probably butchered that name, suggested that I try to do a continuous beam, and that is going to happen. Continuous beam ship where you basically have an uninterruptible beam going at all times that you can fire with. If you have ideas like that, please shoot them my way. I'd love to hear them, and I will try to make them happen. And I will see you guys in the next video. See ya.